Hi everyone. Tonight I have here a Fender Vintera 2 Series 70's Stratocaster in I cannot remember the name of the finish. I think it's Sonic Green or what. It's got a beautiful rosewood neck. Rosewood fretboard, which is very thin. I don't know if you can see from this side. It's quite thin, and we all know what it means. I cannot scale up the thing. Excuse me. I just recovered from COVID yesterday, so. So yeah, I went to the store this afternoon. I basically tried most of the Vintera models there, like the 60's and the 50's. I wanted to buy a no-caster, the Vintera 2 series no-caster. But problem is when I held the neck, it's very thick, like really thick. I thought if I'm going to buy it, I might not be able to use it, and it would just sit in the corner of my room, like a waste of money. So I didn't buy the no-caster. There was another 50's Vintera 2 50's Strat there in black, and there was another 50's in surf green, I think. Although I'm not sure if that's a Vintera 2 or 1. Also tried it. The neck is quite thick. My first impression was, I watched the video from Anderton's, and they really said that most of the necks of the Vintera 2 series will be thick because they're trying to get that era, those vintage era dimensions. Maybe that's why the no-caster was quite thick on the neck, and the 50's were also thick. And then when I tried this one, I immediately loved it because this is the only Vintera 2 series guitar that didn't have a thick neck. And the first time I held it I was a bit surprised. It's kind of the same as my. The neck feels like it's the same as my 2007 Momsen Strat. Oh, here I go again talking about my Momsen Strat. but the thickness of the neck is very different. It is. If you look at it this way, you'll see that it's thick, but it's actually not. And if you can see this part here of the headstock, I don't know if you can see it. They managed to finish this part of the neck a bit deep. I don't know if you can see it. Which the headstock, as you can see, starts here, and it's supposed to be a thick neck, U-shaped neck. But to me, this one feels like it's a C-shaped neck and not a U-shaped neck. Because whenever I put my hand on it, I couldn't feel anything at the back here. So if you want to play like this, it doesn't really feel thick at all. which is supposed to be thick. I'm not complaining about it, but I really like how it feels. That's why I bought this guitar, even though it's very imperfect. For example, what are the imperfections? Rosewood fretboard is quite thin. It's almost like those models back in 1968 or 67, those rosewood cap. Some of them were quite thin, because I know the early 60s had thick slabs instead of having rosewood cap, which were thin. So I thought to myself, that's going to be a problem if I want to scallop the thing, because it's really, really thin. I hope you can see it from here. And it's not evenly, it's not the size of the thickness of the rosewood is different from here to here, which is very thin in the middle around the 7th fret, and then starts to become thick again, going to the first fret. But the rosewood is really nice. I've put Dr. X wax on the fretboard, so that's why it looks darker now. When I got it, it was quite dry, and it looks like a little bit brownish in color. Oops. One more imperfection here. If you can see on the camera, the truss rod, the bullet truss rod is not actually in the middle. I don't know if you can notice it, but it's slightly off to my right. If I look at it, it's very off-centered to the left. The nut, I think, is plastic, so I'll probably make another one for it. Pickups are nice. I really like it. The fret wires are quite thin. I think I'm not sure if they're vintage size or tall thin, but it's nice. Another imperfection here, the spring claw is also not properly installed. It's off-centered to the left, to my left. See this? I tried putting this spring here. Problem is, if I use a tremolo, the spring hits this area here, the wall of the cavity here, and it makes a noise. So I had to remove this and put here. Originally this one was here, so they were like they look like this. So after that, I couldn't put this on this claw, so now it looks like this. But the tremolo works, so I'm not gonna complain about it. I can just bring this back to the store and have a replacement. And they have very good reputation for customer service. But because the neck is really nice and I really like the neck, I'm just gonna keep this, and I will not do any modifications with it because the rosewood fretboard is very thin, and I cannot even though if I put a jumbo fret wires and do the scalloping, it's really thin. It's just gonna ruin the neck. So this was not gonna be this was not gonna become a modified Vintera 70's with scallop fretboard. Basically, this is not going to be a mounting spec Strat, and I'm just gonna leave it like this because as it is, the neck feels really nice. It's not thick. I really like the way it plays and the way it sounds. Even though it has thin fret wires, it doesn't really bother me when I bend. Which is puzzling to me. I guess if your fret wires are thin, you're not gonna have any problems with string action. Because right now my string action on the first string, on the high E string, is about I think it's about 40 thousandths of an inch on the 12th fret, and on the low E string is 50 thousandths of an inch on the 12th fret, which is, when to my other guitars with the jumbo fret wires, kind of feels like it's too low. So for those guitars that I have with jumbo fret wires and scallop fretboards, I would set up the neck on 40 thousandths of an inch on the 12th fret, and then 60 thousandths of an inch on the 12th fret on the low E string. But this one is, I mean, this one is set up to E standard. So that's the reason why, and I have 9 to 42 strings here on E standard tuning. So I think that's the reason why I'm not getting any fret buzz, even though I've set up the string action slightly lower on my usual, which is 8-gauge string on most of my scallop guitars with jumbo fret wires, and they're set up to E flat. So this is the only one that I have here, the only Strat that I have right now that is set to E standard. And it feels really nice, you know. I really don't want to let go of it and replace another one to another one, because what it is right now. See, treble works. It's nice, really. I like it. It's just that I have to mention all these imperfections that I got. Like, this is the first time I got a problem with a guitar like this. I think now I have 9 Fenders. This is the 9th one. So this is my 9th Fender, and this is the only one that's got these offset things. It's not perfect, but it's perfect on my hand. And I didn't notice those imperfections when while I was at the store. That's my problem whenever I go to a store. There's so much happening there. Like my mind goes crazy when I see a lot of guitars. And I play a guitar, if it doesn't feel right, even though it looks perfect, I just don't play it. But this one feels right to me. And I really liked it the first time I held the neck. It was like perfect. So I just bought it. But of course, after I came back home, I saw the offset bullet truss rod, and after opening the back cavity here, I saw the problem with the spring claw. But it works, so I'm just gonna do it. I'm not gonna do anything to it. I'm just gonna leave it as it is. And basically that's it. My new imperfect Fender Vintera 2 Series Stratocaster. Thank you for watching. Good night.